It's Teresa again with Lake Grove Art Literacy. I am just here to do a little bit of an update to the video, the last one. So if you watched that one, similar, but just a few new updates about tips we learned along the way. This is for the MC Escher tessellation project. In case you're listening for the first time, I'll also go through all the basic details just so it's all the way through. So there's the 3rd through 5th grade project. There's a similar but different first kindergarten through 2nd grade project. I'll go through both in this, but we learned the most doing the lessons with the 3rd through 5th graders, which is the complicated unique tessellation one. So I'm going to go through that and explain how it works. Okay, so you will need supplies-wise. Every kid needs a piece of paper. The kids doing, and colored pencils is the medium if they get to it. We're also maybe modifying that to include marker in case they don't have time to color. You need a piece of paper. The kids doing the unique tessellations will need this black piece of paper and this tape. One of the tips we found is the parents can go ahead and put 4 pieces of tape on each kid's desk ahead of time. That's super helpful for the helpers to do. Scissors and a regular pencil. And then they'll need 1 light colored pencil handed out to them ahead of time in order to mark on the black paper. The kids doing the K through 2nd project will need the paper, the pencil, and just one of these stencils. And this is the part that will be a thing for you all to figure out, is how to get the kids to pick the stencils in a timely manner. We should have enough. I'm going to probably also mark these so that they are a front and a back. That is one of the things we learned we need to do, is for tessellations you need to have a front and a back. And if you don't, you end up with a little bit of thing where they don't fit. It's not such a big deal with these ones because these are very similar to front and back, and they're more obvious if they're flipped. But really became a problem for the older kids project, which is way more freeform. Okay, so we'll go through it. The next thing to do, of course, is have the kids put their name and teacher. And if they can't remember their teacher's name, spelling, or something, they can put the number on the classroom. And this is the first step we introduce that's new. So every kid should get, in the 3rd through 5th grade, should get a piece of black paper. It's gonna look mostly like this. We colored one side with a white crayon to make them gray. That's so that you, as the helpers, can detect whether they have it flipped upside down. Because if they end up doing a shape and then they flip it, the tessellations don't work, and they end up creating a non-tessellating shape, a non-puzzle piece shape, and that's going to be a problem. So it should be left facing the table at all times, the gray side. So just have them flip it, and that way you should be able to walk around and just see if they have it the right side up or the wrong side down. And if you see the gray side facing up, just tell them to flip it right over. Great. Hopefully that helps. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is using a light colored pencil. So white, you could have them pass out white, yellow, orange, something that shows up. Make a little line on each side of the paper. Pretty simple, just halfway through. It's nicer if we don't fold the paper, so we're just having them guess. It doesn't have to be exact. Again, that's on the black side. The next part is same colored pencil. They connect the 2 dots, the 2 lines. This is another area we learned a lot from. They want to make it complicated. They just don't understand. So it's better if they pick one of the 2 shapes at the bottom. I'm not redoing all the images because this one works perfectly fine, but any more complex than that, and it gets it just takes a long time. So if you have kids you know aren't going to get through the project, instruct them to pick one of the 2 shapes at the bottom. I'm going to make the angular one because I think it's interesting to see how it's different. So if you do kind of something like that, it really doesn't have to be complicated. It will get complicated later. Again, on the black side, not the gray side. Ooh. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is cut. So they should have scissors. A lot of them already have scissors in their desk, so you don't have to pass them out, but we do have scissors on the cart in case they need them. Sometimes the kids can't find them. This part is interesting. Try to have them, or remind them before they cut, they're going to need both pieces. So they should not go back and fix a cut. They should not go back and throw one out or whatever. They need both pieces. And once they've cut both, just put them right back. I'm going to flip this so it's not distracting. Put them right back on the paper, black side up. Okay, then they just fit them back together. That's it. just have them put them back together. Make sure that they fit. If they end up with some situation like this, you know that there's a problem. And now we see how obvious that problem is. So you can go around and help them more visibly. Cool. So just have them do that. And then without lifting the pieces, they're going to, and that means, you know, they shouldn't have to pick anything up. They just leave them on the table and slide them around. You do that. So you match the long side to the long side that's uncut. Let me do that again. So without picking them up, you just slide it around. That's going to take some time. You know, the kids just want to do what they want to do. So what we saw was a lot of this, like, oh, la-di-da, you know, and then they'd be like, maybe trying to do this. You do not want this situation. That's a non-tessellating shape. It's pleasing. They're going to want to do it because of the symmetry. Don't let them do that. So you've got to ask them to all, if you see them flipping them around, have them put them back together and just help them, guide them to do this. Maybe check on it, have all the helpers check that everyone has it in the same place before you move to the next step, which is taping them. So you take one of the pieces of tape and you just tape it. And mine has a gap. That's not super great. It's gonna mess up the like tracing later. So if you can, part of the reason it's blue tape is they can peel it off, but it's not that big a deal, honestly. One of the things you probably want to do is not be so intense that if they mess up, they feel really bad, because that did also happen. So just try to make sure that, like, if they mess up at any point and they end up with a weird shape that doesn't tessellate, have them roll with it. It's fine. It's art. You can point out that Escher didn't actually make really perfect tessellations. He played with it and like doesn't have a lot of just perfect geometry in his, so they can do something similar and just be creative. Cool. Okay, we're there. Then this is the part where you can choose to have them do this or not. I think it's more sturdy if they tape the back. That's what another second piece of tape is about. But it does mean that you can't just say, I don't ever want to see the gray part. So up to you, but we tried to illustrate it there. The back, which is silver gray, should then get flipped back around, which is the first instruction on this slide. So tape both sides, flip it back around. And you can see it's already an interesting shape. Doesn't need to be all complicated and wiggly. Okay, then using the same colored pencil, light one, you just make 2 lines somewhere on this one. It kind of is easier to deal with if it's somewhere right across from each other, but it really doesn't have to be. It could be all whatever. They'll just end up with a really long shape if they do something different. Okay, same as last time. You can breeze through these. They're going to make a line that connects them. And so again, I'm just going to do something super simple. So just like that. Maybe I'll reproduce this squiggly line at the bottom here as well. For examples that are less complicated. Okay, and then you have them cut that. And again, by now they kind of all had the drill that they don't need to worry about, or that they know what they're doing. So they are guessing what's coming. So you probably don't have to remind them, but just in case, don't throw away any of the parts, don't do extra cuts. And then on this step, we want them to really go and put them back together. Put them back together. Make sure that they fit. And this is, again, the flippity flop. So here we're going to go around this way and that, without lifting them off the paper, without flipping them or anything. I mean, you know, if the flipping is not a big deal, if they do this, it's just not gonna match. So it really is just all about, don't take them off the paper. Slide them around. Make sure that gray side is always there. Cool. So then the next one is, again, tape that. And you can see on this same slide, the back, you can have them flip it and tape the gray side. Cool. Okay. And then flip it back over. So black side up is what you want to do. And you can see mine's not perfect. It's fine. It's going to mess up a little bit. Like, it's going to be a little complicated if there's a little gaps and stuff, but it's not that big a deal. Recommendation, they're always also, the other thing we know is they want to put it in the corner. It's better if they just do it right in the middle. So it doesn't matter which way it goes. In fact, honestly, if they want to do it this side up, that's okay. But they'd have to stick with that side the whole time. So the recommendation, again, is one side. So just do it like this. just do it black side up. That way when you walk around, you can tell for sure if you're having a problem what the problem is, because they might have flipped theirs over. Okay, so you're gonna trace it. This is where taking a little bit of extra time can be nice, because if you trace it really messy, the pieces don't fit together well. But every kid has their own energy, and every kid has their own way they're gonna do it. So don't force it. This is the problem though, if they have a super complicated piece, it takes them forever to trace all the intricate parts. And then they don't get to the drawing part, or the colored pencil coloring part. So that's the thing to note. Okay, so without lifting the stencil from the paper, again, we shouldn't be flipping it like this. Don't want to see that. Want it like this. Without flipping it, you just search for a spot that works, that is matched up. With this shape, it's pretty simple, but honestly, I was surprised. The kids do a lot of weird things. They're like, oh, maybe this is where it matches, and they'll just do that. And that's interesting, and it's going to create more maybe an Escher-like tessellation, but it's not going to do what we want, which is they're not going to get the satisfaction of filling the whole thing with a tiled pattern. So what you want is for them to match a long edge. So like have them go around, again, without flipping it, they should be able to go all the way around the thing and find a spot where most of the edges are matching. So that's a good one. And you can kind of visually, you can probably notice that this is going to match. Oh, the thing is terrible. Okay, so then you trace that. And it's okay if it goes right off the edge. That's what you want. This is the other hard part, is just the younger kids, I think, have trouble not moving the piece around, especially if it's really complicated. So again, the less complicated, the better, because if it's all intricate, it takes them a longer time and they shift it around and it doesn't fit as well as they want. Okay, so look for a long edge, not a teensy curve, and you should be good. I don't know what's up with my focus. Sorry about that. Okay, trace the shape until it fills the whole page. This took longer than I expected, but I should have expected it. It just, especially when they're complicated and the kids are excited about each other's pieces, this took a long time. Some kids really understood it, interestingly, also, and other kids are like a little more free thinking and not wanting to do these patterns. So just, it's fine. Again, it's totally fine if they don't get to everything. Oh, look, that wasn't it. Did I mess up? Nope, I didn't. Good, there it is. Weird, that's not what I expected. I don't know if this is right. Anyway, let's see what happens. Maybe I made the same mistake the kids made. And if you do, no big deal. I'll just show you how long this takes just for this simple shape. So you can see, it's like a little house. Have them pick out little spots on it. Say, look for the little nub or the house or the bumpy there. Look for the hillside, and then they'll notice the spot. Some of the ones that the kids created in Durette's class were very complex and really cool, but yeah, like very hard to track what was going on. So the trick here is they really shouldn't end up twirling it around all that much. Yeah, so this one is wrong. That's interesting. I don't have an eraser, so I'm just going to redraw them. But that's interesting because that means you could make little tessellated shapes inside. Different project, different day. If that happens, no big deal. Just don't make the kids feel like they messed up. It's weird when these projects are a little bit more mathematical. Some of the kids that are more sensitive to not getting it like just right, they're not pleased, I've noticed. So it's okay. Just make sure they know as long as they're having a good time, it's okay. And they might not with this one because it's a little bit technical. Cool. Okay. There we go. Go right off the edge of the page. This is a fun part. If you want, they can add like a detail to it. So, if I wanted to say, make this looks like a house to me, and I'm going to like make this look like a house, you can do this repeating shape kind of a thing. You don't have to. It's just kind of interesting. This is more obvious if they do the organic shape. The kids always find like an animal or something in there, and that's where it gets interesting. With the geometrics, I expect they'll probably do more like just, oh, I missed a spot. They'll probably just do more like patterns and stuff in here, which is fine. I don't expect anyone's gonna do this. It's kind of just an experiment. Okay, they don't all have to match. The fun part you can see on the slideshow is you can make them have different faces. They can all be super different. So like if I were spending more time on this, maybe I'd give all these different types of doors or something. You know, just to give it some kind of like, oh, it's kind of different, which is what Escher would have done. If it's the animals, it's different faces maybe. Okay, this is where I might put in an extra slide. If you want, you can either color or you can just outline it. Like they don't have to spend their time the coloring takes a really long time, and a lot of times their very neat picture ends up looking very messy because they're rushing. So if it's better, they can just come through. They can either leave it pencil or they can come through and they can like outline everything in marker. Whatever they think is fun and interesting. The marker part might be nice actually, because it means they can spend less time rushing through the colors and more time on the precision stuff. It's more Escher-like as well. So maybe we just want to change this one actually. You can see even this takes a lot of time. How many? It's been like 15, 17 minutes and I know what I'm doing. So, okay. So you get the idea. We'll do all of that. If they want to do graphics or something, you could maybe do something like this. Have them do lines. And again, each one could have a slightly different pattern or line all the way across the whole thing. And I'll put an example of this at some point so you can see what it came out looking like. Okay, I do want to go back real quick and say, so this is what these might look like. If we're going to do real quick the second grade slideshow, sorry, I did this last time differently. What you're going to do instead of working with the black paper is each kid's going to get one of these. And you just kind of let them pick. These are kind of like a cat, a bird. Oh, you can't see what I mean. A cat, a bird, an arrow, and what might be a fish, or a lot of kids decided that that was something more like a fox head, like this. Pretty cool. So they can decide whatever they want. The arrow is the most complicated because you can see it needs to go back and forth, back and forth. The rest of them, though, they just pick a side and they go with it. So that's a lot easier. Oops. That one is going to be, sorry, here. So you just pick one and trace it. Just like before, same deal. These are nice and chunky and sturdy. Try to get them back at the end. We don't have a million of them, but I think we should have enough. They might have to share. So there's that. Again, you just kind of like look for a thing. These have some nice things that are hard to mess up. Like I guess you could try to do things like this, but I think the key again with these is keeping one side down. So maybe we'll color the side of these too. And that way you can say always keep the white side up. Yep, there we go. And they're just always going to fit together the same direction. You can see here, this is not perfect. There's a gap right there. It's totally fine. Don't let them get hung up on that. So here's this one. Not perfect because they're hand cut, so just doing what we can. Go all the way up the page. And some kids do other weird things, you know, just use them to make patterns on the page without actually making a tessellating thing. Again, totally fine, whatever they want. Creating stuff's the goal. Cool. Okay, almost. The going off the edge, the kids need some help with that because a lot of times they don't notice where they go. Okay, that's how long that one took. Sorry, I didn't advance the slides forward. We were on this step, so you can see that in the same step. And then again, just putting in some detail. So if this one's going to be a fox instead this time, maybe I put in some like eyes. Creepy guy. A lot of them. Okay. Cool. Close enough. Okay. There we go. And then, yeah, color. So with the kids in the lower grades, they probably will have time to color. My tip, if they do, again, though, the markers are available for them if they want to outline. I found that it was most useful. We were in Calvert's class, which is 2nd grade. Some of them got really messy with the coloring, which is fine, but it ends up being a thing where if they lose the definition of the lines because they're going outside the lines a lot, they might want to come back and outline with the black. You can also have them outline first. By this point, usually in the lesson, you have little control over the class and what they're doing. They're just kind of off on their own. So it's fine. And these are big enough shapes they can take some inconsistency in the color. It's not going to look too crazy. But yeah, in the end, if they go across the lines and it's messy, you can just use the marker to outline it. Something that, another option, really quick, this might look something like these. These kids also can just do an outline. Totally fine if they want to just do that and not bother with any of the coloring. Something that we noticed is if they didn't finish, the teacher wanted to keep them in order to finish up later. It's because it's just a coloring project. So for this project, that's fine. For most projects, we don't want them to keep them and work on them later because we never get them back. And we want to give them all back in a portfolio at the end of the year. We're not doing a mounted thing this year or anything complicated. We're just putting them in like big envelopes. But it's nice to give them all back at once. And also in earlier lessons, we want them back so we can collect them and curate them to put on the wall and stuff like that for display. It's the end of the year, it's the last one. It's not as big a deal, but just know that for other lessons. So that's about it. At the end, just collect up all the pencils, colored pencils. A lot of times the regular pencils are theirs. The scissors might be theirs. Try to get these back. These tessellated shapes that the kids make in the older grades, they can keep those. No big deal. Get these back from them and then put them on the cart in a stack. They obviously don't really have to dry. Do double check that their names and teachers are on the back because we don't want to get them back to them at the end of the year. That's it. Thank you so much. Enjoy.